Okay, guys, welcome to Monday Mindset Mojo. We are 12 minutes late. We've had some technological difficulties in the background, but we're going to talk to you about cutting through the cognitive clutter that often comes with kerfuffles just like this. And it is so good to have you guys here today. We're going to be talking about reprogramming your mindset, the operating system of your brain. We're going to be bringing you some science, some strategy, and some straight talk. And we have some wonderful guests here today that I'm going to introduce. I'm not sure if Tim is going to be able to make it. He's 2 hours earlier, so it's only a little after 5 a.m. where Tim, my friend, is. But if Tim can join us, he's an urban mind mapper. He shows how cluttered environments, cloud thinking, and reinforce those reactive loops and how to get out of those. Dr. Hypnosis is with us. He is at Bowtie Trance on X. He is a cognitive strategist. I just love some of the things that he does. I love kind of nerding out over NLP, neuro linguistic programming. And he is going to be explaining how sometimes our subconscious scripting, we all have this script playing in the depths of our subconscious, how that can warp our decision making and what you guys can do to rewrite that, to recode it. Lauren is here, a fitness philosopher, connecting physical discipline and mental resilience with cognitive precision. Lauren and I have some great discussions in the background about some struggles that she's going through and about how she's tackling those. And for the first time on the show is Precious. She is at Kachi on X, a narrative disruptor. She's going to be breaking down some of the ways that she examines her stories that sometimes may derail her thinking and her perception. And finally, my good friend Conrad at More Life Wizard, a system hacker, offering you guys some friction cutting tactics that can sharpen your focus and reclaim some of that bandwidth. So guys, it is wonderful to have you here today. We're going to power through because we've had some connectivity difficulties, but it's so good to have you guys here today. I want to start out with Conrad and go around the room, kind of sharing your background and what kind of content do you like to post on social media that you found may be really helpful to people. Conrad, what do you think? Tell some folks about yourself.
Well, I like to expand what I do, expand how I think, expand how I feel. And this is exactly what I also invite other people to do as well. This is how I've noticed that we can very quickly achieve amazing results in life by making the invisible visible, making those connections that we haven't seen before, and then acting from there, actually hand-steering our lifestyle so that we can create that next level persona. That next level lifestyle that we want can start today, right here, right now. If only we know we can, there is no need to wait a month, 2 months, year, 5 years to become that person that we always wanted to be. We can still adjust those things that we would like to be doing. However, we can well and truly start today. And this is exactly what I tend to post on social media, is how to take action, how to think, how to align yourself, what frameworks to use, how to expand your vision for your business or your life so that you can reach that next level expression in no time at all.
You know what I love about that, Conrad, is as you're speaking, it dawns on me how many people are waiting for something to show up in their life, some type of magical map or, some brand new self-help book. And I think Dr. Hypnosis would agree with this, is that the magic is in the scripting. The magic is that subconscious programming that we have. I was having a discussion with one of my great friends on X, lovely lady, and we were talking about the difference in the subconscious and thoughts, and I was making the point that from a top-down process, it is our thoughts which program our subconscious, and then our subconscious programs our life. And so that's not something that's going to just show up. That really requires insight. That requires insight. And so that's what I love about what you do and what Dr. Hypnosis does and the discussion we'll get into with Lauren. But today, guys, we're going to talk about, what about environmental hurdles, though? I hear people talk about about triggers, but we're going to talk about how to life proof your mind. We're going to dig deeper into this subconscious scripting, these thought patterns that you might not have known that you chose, but you can change them. You can recode those. And so, if you have some thoughts, if you have some experiences, drop those in the chat. Jeremy's here. I love what Jeremy has to say here. Jeremy's pretty chatty this morning. Good morning, unless you're somewhere overseas experiencing this in some other perspective. That's funny. Yeah, it's not morning everywhere. It's not morning everywhere. So, guys, share this out. If you know some folks that could use the support for today, go ahead and share that out to them. If you're in a DM group on X, please show it out. Share it out. If you're in a community on X, share it out to the community. Invite some other people and share it out on Facebook. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, of course, YouTube, and in my Mindset Masterclass, live streaming there. Hello, Mindset Masterclass. Good to see you guys here today. And this is sponsored by Mindset Masterclass. So if you want a deeper dive into what we're talking about today, just head over to school.com/mindset. That's school, SKOOL.com/mindset. And we're going to be talking about also some of this narrative interference, how our stories, the narratives that we write for ourselves, how they shape our lens, and how you can challenge some of those narratives. And then some, sculpting of that decision making process. We're going to share about some strategies daily to help you guys think clearer because clearer thinking leads to smarter actions. Well, Dr. Hypnosis, without further ado, share with us your background and what you'd like to talk about on X and where people, maybe sabotage themselves when it comes to their thinking.
Good morning, Dr. Heath. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come on the show. I've been looking forward to this ever since we talked on your Executive Espresso show, maybe a month and a half ago. And I'll probably pick up a lot of the themes that I started discussing with you back then. In the real world, as they say, my background is I work with corporations and businesses to help streamline their processes, which is really more a lot of people work, which is where I began to discover that there's a lot that happens in the realm of communication. This is the baseline for these scripts that you're talking about, being able to communicate with the right words and using the right patterns. And so I don't know, a decade and a half ago, I got a chance to work very closely with a neurofeedback therapist who kind of got me interested in the study of the neuroscience that goes behind all of this. And that's when I started looking more deeply into the formal discipline of hypnosis proper, as they say. And all of that 15 years later, I just published my book over on Lulu Press, This Feels Like Cheating, where I wanted to bring together all of the things you're talking about, not just the formal hypnosis approach, but what's the brain science underneath this, and things like scripted affirmations. I just want to bring all of that together, how to seed your dreams using these daydream trance methods. And so this is the kind of stuff that you'll find me posting about on my X account. I like to put little helpful threads up every couple of days where we talk about how do you change, as you said, those stories that we're telling ourselves every day. And you talk about this top-down approach, and I say it actually goes both ways. It's bottom up, it's top down. What's going on in your subconscious will reveal itself in the words and the language that you use. I gave the example just recently about, if you hear somebody say, I can't do something, right? I can't lose weight, for example. And I said, that betrays what's going on in your subconscious and what you think about your own identity. I'm not somebody who can do this. But if we change that linguistic pattern to, I have not yet been able to lose weight, quit smoking, do whatever, we can begin to reprogram with our language and the things we say out loud. We can reprogram the way the subconscious thinks. That changes the way we feel about the world. That changes the way we act towards the world. And that's how you begin to move, the line a little bit. You begin to make a little bit of progress and kind of change exactly what's going on in the so-called real world around you, just by starting with the scripts in your own head.
Really, and I think what people get that wrong is they're looking for a single step solution, just do this one thing. I remember actually in my practice, I had a the head of an insurance company, basically, or the head of the provider relations department, contact me and ask me why is it taking so many sessions to get this person going again. And I said, well, because it's a step-by-step approach. There's a protocol. We have to run at their speed, not at my speed. You know, the old maxim in therapy is you start where the patient is. And she said, well, I'm hearing about a lot of single session therapies these days. And I said, I don't know what that is. I think that they would have to be at the end of their journey of tackling this to be able to, really benefit from a single session. I don't know of any single session answers, but I think we live in a very impatient culture today that goes to people like, one of us here on screen and thinks that, there's some simple fix. It's really, I found, a accumulation process. There's a cumulative effect that thought built on thought built on thought really winds up completing a jigsaw puzzle of success. So we're going to talk about more of that today, but I'd like to go to Lauren and then to Precious. And guys, kind of introduce yourself and tell us, maybe a top mindset hack that, you found useful in your life with some of your struggles. Lauren, take it away if you're available. We lost Lauren earlier. Maybe she's back. Oh, I don't think Lauren's back just yet. Maybe we'll get her back momentarily. Precious, can you hear me okay? Oops, I think we might have lost Precious also. Well, maybe they'll be back momentarily. Let me see if Precious, can you hear me? Test, test, test.
Yes,
Oh,
Dr. Heath, I can
oh
hear you.
yes,
Can you
yes.
hear me?
Yes, I'd like to go to you and share about what you like to post on social media, and what are your thoughts on things that we do, thought processes that we engage in that sabotages ourselves.
Okay. Am I good to go now? Can I speak
You're
now?
good to go. It's all you, my friend. Take it away.
O- Okay. Good day, Dr. Heath. Good day, everyone. I'm glad to be here. Like, this is my first time speaking on space, and I just choose to do it just to build my confidence and all. And I think I'm loving it here. Okay, my perception about life and mindset and all, like, mindset is really a great goal for me, because looking back to my life some years ago, I was depressed for about some months, and it really affected me, and that gave me a push to go into mindsets and into the way the neurons work in our brains. So for the topic you gave me, the perception, I've come to realize that we are what we do about life. Am I still audible?
Yes, you are. Yeah, go right ahead. You may not be able to hear me. Can you
Hello?
hear me, Precious? Take it away. I'm not sure she can hear me. By the way, Precious is at Kachi on X, a great account, KATCHIIE underscore on X, and hopefully we'll have her back momentarily. Precious, are you back with us? I think she's having some difficulties. I want to go to some of the comments here. Your son, a dear friend of mine on X. Good morning. What an impressive lineup of guests. Looking forward to an insightful mindset masterclass. You and me both. Good to hear from you. Your son. Your son does some great spaces on X also. We have Ryan Rodriguez with us. Let's go, Ryan says. Happy Monday. Good to see everyone. And let's see, Jeremy has a lot of comments here. King Cassius, good to see you. We're going to go back and pick up some of Jeremy's comments here. I see everything as a sys side and org side through organizations or systems. Yeah, the thing is, there's an interaction, Jeremy, between us and the systems which we're a part of. But it's good to understand that those systems have no control over our mindset. It's what we decide to think of the machinations and the goings on of those systems. And so it's as Soren Kierkegaard, one of my favorite philosophers, and Viktor Frankl, another favorite philosopher, picked up on this, that it's between stimulus and response is our power. So it's in that gap between the stimulus, what an organization is doing, what the weather's doing. It's kind of stormy outside today. We're going to get some rain. What your spouse is doing, what the mailbox is doing, the bills that may pile up. It's between those stimuli and our response in which lies our power. Katya, are you back with us? Precious, can you hear us now?
Yeah, Dr. Heath, I'm here.
Yeah, we can always hear you. You were
Okay,
always
am I
on
audible now?
mic,
Okay,
but yeah, go
sorry,
ahead,
my
continue. Take it away.
okay. I'm a data scientist practitioner, and it has helped me to be able to use real world data to analyze what truly influences our mindset, how we think, how we perceive the world, how we react to things. And I was able to learn that we are in control of everything. Just everything is just in our mind, and how we choose to interpret things that happen to us and the world, it's all on us. So for me, some years ago, I fell into depression, and I never knew it was all in my head. Like I was just making images and imaginations all in my head. It got to a point I became so scared to even stand up from my bed. All I just want to do every day is just to lie down and sleep. I became scared of the world, became scared of everybody. Everybody became like a threat to me, to my life, and all. But over the years, over the time I started reading. I got to start reading books, more books from Napoleon Hill, Mike Murdoch, and all. And after some time, I realized I was able to start coming out. I was able, because I had social anxiety. I was able to start relating to people. I was able to start coming back to my real self. And along the line, I got to get into data science and machine learning, which has helped me a lot in building my mindset, being able to be in control of my mind. And coming here, seeing myself now, I'm so glad for the changes and the progress I've made over time. And if I'm to share to anybody around the world, or anyone, I would say most of the things you fear, most of the things you imagine, most of the things on your mind, they are just stories you tell yourself. It's stories you've chosen to believe for yourself. It's how you've chosen to perceive the world. And the brain is just like a computer. You can decide to reprogram it the way you want it to be. So this is me telling anyone on the call that wants to reprogram the mind. You can reprogram your mind for anyhow you want it to be. When I work on real world data sets, trying to create a model that could be able to predict the true causes of mental duration and all, I got to realize that I can program the model to give me what I want. The same way our brain works, you can decide to program your mind to choose to see the good in everything. Because naturally, I would say I became so pessimistic. When anything happens, I try to see the bad in it even before I see the good in that particular thing. And it really haunted my life so much, because that part took me in the part of fear and anxiety. But the moment I began to reprogram my mind to always see the good in anything, even if there is a tendency that there is a bad behind it, but at first choose to see the good. When you begin to see the good in that thing, you begin to reprogram your mind, and the body naturally has the chemical it releases. When you're happy, when you're sad, there is a chemical that is being released over time. When you start thinking about the negative, you start releasing that chemicals to your body, and over time you become reprogrammed, that instead of you seeing the good in a case, you just start seeing the bad and the bad. So for me, all I just have to say is that for anyone, it's possible for you to come out of any whatever mindset disorder you have, be it PTSD, be it anxiety, be it bipolar, or anything. It just takes you to reprogram your mind, choose to see the good in everything, and choose to be positive always. That's how it has been for me,
Beautifully
Dr. Hits.
said. Beautifully said. And you know, this is the thing that Precious is pointing out, and I put this in the YouTube description, is that your brain really doesn't show you the world. Your brain really just shows you your version of the world. Perception is opinion, and opinion depends on focus, and focus depends on the direction that you're going to point your focus. And so it's like my dad used to say, and he quotes Henry Ford, I think it is, whether you think you can or think you cannot, whether you think you can or think you cannot, you are correct. And so we're going to keep unpacking how to debug that mental windshield that we all have to kind of clear our view toward greater things, higher things, more success, and talk about some tools. But I'd like to go over here to Dr. Hypnosis, and share with us when it comes to that mental scripting, what are some tips? What are some things that folks can do to kind of get out of their way and rewire some of those subconscious processes? Because you talked earlier, and I mentioned it about bottom up and top down processing. And the way I view top down processing is when we take charge literally of our thinking, and it starts with our thinking in regard to things out in the environment. I view bottom up is we are exposed to stimuli, maybe the cool grass. I have zoysia grass out there, my favorite grass, and the softness of the zoysia grass, or the sharpness of a pebble. But when I become aware of those sensory stimuli that arise bottom up, my senses have to funnel those into my awareness. I get to choose what then to think about them. So what are some top down or bottom up strategies that you might kind of recommend that we can dig into, Dr. Hypnosis?
Yeah, I like where you're going with that. The idea that you have the external stimulus, but also what's going on in your own mind and thoughts. And so I look at it as a feedback loop. We frame this in different ways. You've heard phrases like fake it till you make it, right? Dress for success, this kind of thing. And that would be kind of what you're talking about, the external stimulus that has an impact on the subconscious, on the thoughts that we think. Um, I actually do better work when I dress for work, believe it or not. I've talked to many, many people who went through the first couple months of the COVID shutdowns and were sent home to work remotely and had bad experiences because of one thing. They figured out that I can work in my pajamas all day. I have no reason to get dressed. I'm not going into an office. But they found overwhelmingly that they felt unproductive by the end of the day. I had one person tell me I could work 10, 12 hours and get things done, but I didn't feel productive. And it's because I was sitting around on the couch in my pajamas the whole time. And I said, okay, just change this. Okay. When you get up and start the workday at 8 o'clock, get dressed for work. When the day is done at 5 o'clock, take those clothes off and get into the loungewear. And that was such an instant hack that they would feel more productive. I'm dressed for work. Now you're telling your brain this is external stimulus, like you said, but it's changing the thought pattern on the inside. So that's definitely one approach. Is
I
these
love that.
external.
It's weird that Doc, that you would mention that, because I've actually talked to people that would tell me stories about their parents and grandparents,
Hmm.
and they would get dressed up to the nines, like they're going to a ball or something every single day, no matter what. So really, when you're putting on your clothing, you're putting on your mindset.
This
Your
is so
mind.
true. Yes.
Yeah, and so many people will get up and just kind of lounge and laze around the house all day, and I've got nothing against that sometimes, but I do believe that uniforming your body is uniforming your mind for success. So that's something I did not think of. Jeremy says wearing hats. Yeah,
Mm.
I don't see many people with hats anymore, but I think that that's a really cool thing too. Jeremy agrees that. Well, let's see. I already put that one up there. Agrees. Dressing for work is a big deal. Attention to word uses, Jeremy says, both internal and external. Yeah, I mean, what I find in social media, Jeremy, are people speaking colloquialisms. And then I'll ask them, well, give me the definition of that. And they won't know, which is a problem because what your brain is going to do, my friend, is your brain is going to pick a definition. It may not be the most accurate, useful definition. But Dr. Hypno, yeah, go ahead. Tell us some more of your thoughts there on that point, and then we'll go to Conrad.
Okay. Yeah, dressing for work is one way to, tell the brain we're in a routine now. I think what Jeremy was saying by wearing hats is sort of a metaphor, right? I'm putting on my work hat. Now I'm putting on my relaxation hat. Now I'm putting on my dad hat or whatever you have. But it literally works when you change the uniform. This will work for things like I want to exercise more. Okay, well, it's the end of the day and I'm tired and I don't want to get off the couch. But guess what? If you put on the gym shorts and you
Mm.
lace up the tennis shoes, your brain's going to say, well, the next thing we're doing is we are absolutely going to go work out. And so I always would say, just lace up the shoes. That's all you have to do. You can tell yourself, I'm not going to actually go to the gym. I'm just going to change shoes. Your brain will kick in and do the rest. So that external stimulus that changes, the way that we're thinking about things. But real quick, it does work in reverse. It does absolutely work in reverse. You can re-engineer the thought process behind it, and this is why I moved into the realm of, we'll call it hypnosis, trance. I call it daydreaming, meditating. I call it just starting the movie inside your head and watching the movie play out in sort of a make-believe, imaginative world where you get to experience something. Call it the movie effect. You ever go to a movie and like it's an action film and the characters are, they're fighting and they're driving fast and whatever, and what happens when you leave that movie is you suddenly feel like I could take on the world, right? Don't get in a fight with me in the parking lot because I know kung fu at this point. I just watched 2 hours of, whatever Bruce Lee movie or whoever it is. Well, what happened in there is you didn't actually experience anything in real life other than watch a movie that kind of reprogrammed your thought process, and you felt like you experienced everything that these characters were experiencing. And so now suddenly you go out with a different attitude to the world. And however long that lasts, I don't recommend you actually go get in a fight in the parking lot. You might find out you're not actually up to the task, but something changed internally where you feel like I'm going to behave a little more, uh, you know, contrary to what I used to do. I'm going to drive a little crisper. I'm going to, you know, I say that if I can get you in the session, you were talking earlier about how do you get single session results. Sometimes you can if the movie that you're playing in your head is powerful enough that you feel like you've really experienced this next level of success.
Mm-hmm.
It can be so strong that the minute you walk out of that session, you're like, I am going to make that phone call. I'm going to start writing that book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do whatever it was that I thought I couldn't do because the movie in my head was so powerful that it changed the way I want to approach the world around me.
On that point, I remember the professor that trained me in clinical hypnosis. It brings up a great point. So thank you for saying that. Is that he said some people are more talented at what you're talking about. We were calling it a hypnosis. Some people are more talented at producing that movie than others. And so, yeah, I think that some people can do that much quicker. Some people to produce that 4K movie in their head takes much longer. So, for those of you listening that think that you're lagging behind, it's just different for you. Some people pick up basketball quicker, golf, coding, video production, whatever. So this video production in your head for you may take a bit longer, but that doesn't mean that it's less powerful. I found people that started behind at doing what Dr. Hypno's talking about, finally actually got better than others that started out quicker. So they surpassed them. Why? Because of their work ethic on it. If you want to change something in your life, you must first change that thing in your mind. What do you think, Conrad? Then I'll go back to, and I'm not sure if we lost Lauren or not. I think we might have lost her. I don't see her on my panel right now. Maybe she'll come back, but we'll go to Conrad and back to Dr. Hypno and see what Precious thinks. Conrad, take it away.
Thank you so much. Well, this is exactly where I excel with my sessions, right? I'm so much about the other person. I'm so much about the person that I'm working with, so that we personalize their approach to life. Because what I've seen so often that people tend to borrow. They tend to borrow tools, especially of celebs or gurus, right? In a given industry, whether it's, performance, personal development, mindset work, or any other area of life. However, if it is a good match, that's great. However, it happens also often that people borrow those tools and then carry on using them, even if it's not the right tool for the job for them. And here is how people get into low self-esteem, for example, because they are using tools provided by a known celebrity with a supposed guarantee that this is exactly how life works, and they start using those tools without getting any results, because themselves need a completely different approach, for example. And until they know what tools will actually work for them, this is where they will be inching towards the goal. However, once they finally get that mindset tool set organized, this is where they tend to skyrocket their results in no time. And it's the same with learning. Not everybody is a visual learner. There are some social learners, audio learners, and so on and so forth. So not everybody has to just rely on books, right, or written content for learning. There are so many other ways. And yet, people sometimes tend to stick to the things that, are, let's say, trendy at the moment, without getting good results. And just as we were talking here about those, sessions that actually make a big upgrade to a person's life, it usually can happen when there is a good match between the provider and the client. The provider and client are alike, so to speak. The tools, the usual frameworks that the provider uses are somehow aligned with a given type of client, whether they know it or not. So then a lot can be had in just a single session. However, I would also add here a caveat that, let's say, professional therapy, and I mean therapy in capital letters, this is where you might really require several sessions to get things right. Yeah, this is just the way it is. When it comes to maybe smaller goals or more of a coaching type of work, yes, those one session shifts can be had very often. It's very much just a matter of perspective, right? This is very much my topic, right? Transcendental perspectives, very much changing the point of view instantly, so that the person has that big aha moment and they think, oh my God, Konrad, I've never thought about it this way, right? Okay, so now what do we do about it? Right? How can you now, let's say, fortify that change? What will you be doing daily? How will you feel daily? How you will be different with your relationships daily, so that with that new empowered perspective, you will be creating literally that new lifestyle, a new persona, new avatar from today. And this is where the results can be had super quickly. Because first we upgrade the perspective, and then we do the groundwork so that literally everything throughout the day is stemming from that new elevated point of view. And here, right, establishing habits is really super simple. Here we can actually have great results in life and business within 2 to 3 to 4 weeks max. And by that time, we actually live that lifestyle fully. We might have, rearranged our environment, rearranged, furniture in our place. Yeah, that's a very good hack. As we are upgrading ourselves, so then when we enter that room, okay, this is the new me. This is my new bathroom. Okay, this is now here, and that is now there, right? Okay, this is the bedroom that I wake up to. Oh, this is the new bedroom, right? I might have just changed a few things. And yet, I already wake up, look at that room, and I'm thinking, yeah, this is it. This is the new me. How cool is that? So that with just a change of perspective, which can happen in an instant, we can very often upgrade our life immensely. And the one last thing that I would add here is that, my friends, one of the best things that I've seen working for people, one of my best tips is to actually request an upgrade. And I mean that. Ask and you shall be given. But you would be surprised how many people never even ask. They just don't ask. If you ask them whether they have actually ever written down a request or spoke it out loud, they never did. It was just a line of thoughts in their head, constantly churned, wishful thinking that the outcome will come, but they never say it out loud. And what I invite people to do to upgrade, abundance, upgrade, lifestyle, is to actually make that request. I would like, within 24 hours, to vastly and joyfully upgrade my paradigm. And the moment they set that request, especially with a specified time frame, you would be amazed what results you can have daily, my friends. Daily. If you do something like this, you ask yourself, your own subconsciousness or God, depending on how you think about it, for an upgrade today. Whether it's a business upgrade, whether it's a lifestyle upgrade, whether it's a financial upgrade, it doesn't matter. But you actually make that ask. And then you open yourself to receiving the outcome. You are on the lookout because your reticular activating system has already been preset. You are already filtering those incoming stimuli, looking for that, oh, that's an interesting conversation. Okay, well, this is good. You tell me, how did you do that again? Oh yeah, okay, can I phone them up? Whatever happens to you, right? Whatever you then self-manifest, it is so likely that within those 24 hours, for example, you can make it shorter, you can make it longer, you will have that breakthrough that you are after. And if you keep doing that every day, within 365 days, you're going to have an incredible lifestyle. I mean, this is how I help people get from, being, a doper on a sofa, to living in a seaside property.
Wow.
It can be had.
A sofa doper to a seaside property owner. I love that. That's fantastic. So many things come to mind, Conrad, when you're talking, and that is, well, let me just start here because it's the main thought on my mind is, as a believer, I'm reminded of when the Creator introduced himself to Moses, and Moses said, "Who are you?" I mean, think about that. Who are you? What if the universe, what if God said, "Who are you?" What would you say? Well, God said the most basic thing I think we all can say, and that is, "I am." And with God, it stops there. I am, and then he continues. He says, "I am that I am," And so the thing I might recommend that you give a shot to, guys, is speak it as if it is happening or has happened. I am, well, what? What kind of person are you? And at a difficult interaction, I am what during that difficult interaction? Well, are you a someone with high character, low character? You decide who you are in that interaction. In a struggle, well, I am what? If you're trying to change a habit, either I'm a smoker or I'm not someone who smokes, or I'm not someone who drinks, or I'm not someone who uses this drug. Our words really do speak things into being because they are programming. On this computer in the background, there are phrases, coding that is causing everything you see to happen, and it's very complex. In the human mind, it is many layered, and so we may not be aware of the script of the program way down here that is controlling our behavior, but we at some point wrote that script. So we must become conscious of that script, ask ourselves, does this script still serve me? And if not, rewrite and then practice the new script. And I love what Jeremy said, that change one thing and the universe has changed. And yeah, man, that change starts within us. You know, I appreciate the over 200 people watching us. We are live streaming through Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and into my Mindset Masterclass. Once again, come over and join me in Mindset Masterclass. And here in a moment, I'd love to go to Precious and see what she has to say about some of the conversations. I think we might have just lost her, though. We're having people join us as guests from all across the globe, and sometimes the technology just doesn't work all that well. Waylon says I should get on Rumble. You know, that's my least favorite part of the highway, Waylon, are those Rumble strips. You'll have to teach me how to do that sometime. I need some expert advice. Precious is back with us, and so Precious, if you can hear me, share with us some of the difficult unconscious scripting that you became consciously aware of and finally saw that those ways of thinking were sabotaging you. Do you have some stories you can share with us about that? If you can hear me, Precious, testing. I'm not sure she can hear me. She's back, but she cannot hear me. Her mic is live. Precious, testing. Can you hear me? I will come back to you. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. She's on my camera. I just don't have her on the camera for the audience because she requested a PFP only today. I understand that. Sometimes folks aren't ready to go, live video on social media. That's perfectly understandable. Dear friend of mine on my daily midday mindset, Smooth through Friday, TMR, at the Mental Reboot. If you're on X, check out my friend TMR. He puts out some wonderful content, but he's a anonymous account because he doesn't want personal things to get in the way of his brand. So there's no problem with that. Precious, can you hear me at all? Testing. Nope. I think she may be frozen. I don't see her moving around, so maybe she's frozen. Still some technical difficulty. But we're going to move on here. Talking about the mind-body link. I was going to have Lauren talk about this, but how do you think our mindset, guys, really impacts the health of our body? What do you think, Dr. Hypnosis? Have you found that what we tell ourselves, how we decide to think, really dictates kind of our physiological state?
There are plenty of scientific studies that show quite a strong link between that mind-body connection. I always sort of start by saying placebo effect should not be a real thing. It should never in a million years work. That if we're testing a new drug for good bodily results, but half of the people are only getting a sugar pill, they should never in a million years actually get good physical results from that, and yet they do in almost every single study. And that tells me that there is a strong connection between these things. And it starts with I loved where Conrad was going with the concept of say it out loud, write it down. Dr. Heath, you brought in sort of the spiritual, the God factor into this, and I wanted to say all you have to do if you're a person of faith, if you follow the scripture, all you have to do is go to John chapter 1, where he begins with saying, in the beginning the word exists from all eternity with God, but where does it finally make the impact? As he says, the word became flesh. And so the thoughts in our heads are meant to be in a sense incarnated in the world, and part of doing that is saying it out loud. And if I've got this horrible repeat loop inside my brain that says I can't have a seaside property, Conrad, I don't deserve a seaside property, I could never get to that, that's an inner thought loop that is destructive, that creates stress, it creates all kinds of bad physical outcomes. And I say, go ahead and say that out loud. Just say that out loud one time. Speak that out and see, now that your ears have to hear your voice saying that, see if that still makes sense to you. Or does that sound like that's maybe a little ridiculous? You don't want to say it out loud? That's fine. Write that down. Write down, I, Conrad, don't deserve seaside property. Now look at that on paper. Does that ring true now that you've made it incarnate on paper or spoken it out loud so that you have to hear it and process it in a different way? So I will say this, even if you're not a person of faith, even if you don't believe in God or whatever, the neuroscience still supports this, that taking an inner thought and speaking it out loud still forces your brain to reprocess that information in a new way, and you have to reevaluate it every time you do it. So try saying it out loud. Try saying the right thing out loud. Say, I am going to have seaside property, and let your brain kind of, cogitate over that and figure it out. But yeah, you were talking specifically about, the mind body link, and I have had some wonderful results in my practice, with deep hypnosis with people, and seeing physical results, seeing things like back pain and knee pain go away, once we've kind of visualized the different outcome. And it's to do with, simple things like lifting the stress. That's just a basic uh, you know, outcome that comes with hypnosis. If you're deep in that daydream and relax and visualizing a much better, happier place, you lose some of the stress. Stress causes inflammation. Inflammation is the root cause of just about every bad thing that we could possibly imagine, up to and including cancer and upper respiratory viruses. And it's all about that stress inflammation link. So yes, you can absolutely have better physical outcomes by learning to lean into the relaxation, learning to lean into that positive way of thinking. And how do we get to that positive thinking? To tie it all together, if I can, start saying things out loud, start writing it down, make your brain interact with this information at a different level than just spinning that hamster wheel inside your head.
Well, yeah, I remember my keyboard professor, Dr. Vincent Benitez, who would always tell me, well, he would ask when I walked into my lesson, have you practiced this week? And he would say, practice does not make perfect. Correct practice makes perfect. So, a little bit of psychology there is your brain really doesn't care which way you practice, whether you practice harmful scripts that you brought with you from childhood, that you're in the way, that you'll never measure up, never make it, never be worth anything, that you are undeserving. You can bring all those scripts forward with you. That's the whole point of how history or childhood affects us. It's really not history or childhood or an incident, even if you label it traumatic, that adversely affects us. It is the mental scripting about each and every one of those things that we keep on replay, even though they no longer serve us, even though they are no longer accurate. And I put up there in the chat, uh, I posted something about the etymology of incarnate, and it's from Ecclesiastical Latin. It is incarnate, made flesh, from a verb meaning into, making something into flesh. And so the way the brain works is through repetition. If you tell yourself the same thing over and over and over again, your brain will come to believe it, even if it is really nasty things. And the point on the mind body connection, Dr. Hypno was absolutely correct on that, is that if you tell your brain something is a threat to you, even if you're telling your brain that you are a threat to yourself, your brain is going to prepare you for that threat. One of the ways it does that is through inflammation. That sounds crazy, but it does it through inflammation. Because why? Because that's the best way to win a battle. That's the best way to win a battle. To have cortisol coursing through your veins, to have adrenaline coursing through your brains, to have different areas active, such as muscle, and different areas inactive, such as your gut and your stomach. But we've told our bodies to do that. Our mentality has told our physiology to get ready for battle, and that's not a problem if there's really a battle. But if you go day by day by day, that every day is a battle, and every step is a battle, and every interaction is a battle, over time that's going to have a very deterministic wearing effect on your physiology. And you'll get older quicker. You'll stay more lethargic because you can't keep up that rate of activation. And so that too is a script. Some people believe every disagreement is a battle. Well, I don't think that at all. I think disagreement is, well, this jigsaw puzzle doesn't currently fit too well with this jigsaw puzzle. I'm going to find a place where that jigsaw puzzle fits. You get to decide how to put together the jigsaw puzzle pieces in your life. And Precious, can you hear us now? Are you back with us? I want to check in with her. I know she's having lots of, she's not here currently. Maybe she's tried to log back in a few times, but her connection just doesn't seem to be holding. Lauren has been unable to make it back, but we will have both these lovely ladies on the show again in the future. And I want to go to some comments here in the chat. Waylon says that changing my schedule has helped my mindset a ton. Yeah, Waylon, how'd you change your schedule? I think you and I talked about that, man. Good going, brother. I'm so glad to hear that you did that. Jeremy says practice happy, vibes matter too. Yeah, I mean, you can go around with a dire mindset, a negativity bias mindset. By the way, negativity bias is normal. It is it should be an acute response, a short-term response, not a chronic response. The problem with negativity bias is not negativity bias, that this could be a threat or danger to me. The problem with negativity bias is that we don't realize its purpose and its place, that it should be acute, short-term. This may be a threat. Oh, wait a minute, except it's not. This person disagreeing with, could be a threat. Oh, except it's not. It's just their opinion, their thought process. It's just the situation is a building, and I'm on one side of the building. That's my perspective. Conrad's on another side of the building. That's his perspective. Dr. Hypno, Precious, Lauren, we're each on our own side of the building. Which perspective is correct? All of them can be correct. Why does somebody always have to be wrong and somebody always have to be right? Why can't somebody be right that this is how, for whatever reason, they're seeing it? I would rather look at someone else's opinion, someone else's perspective, and find it interesting rather than threatening. Now, there's a mind script shift that you can use, guys, is try today, try this week, instead of looking at a difference of perspective as threatening, I mean, unless it really is. Hey, the place is on fire. I think we should sit here and see what happens. Now, no, I'm not going to sit around and do that. I'm going to encourage both of us to get out of the burning building. But other than that, you can choose to see perspective as not threatening, decatastrophize it and see it as interesting. And we have my friend King Cassius. I may need Dr. Hypnosis to bring me back through the gateway process and bring my mind home. Well, Dr. Hypno, you have your work cut out for you there. Thank you. I appreciate that, King Cassius. Waylon says, I gave up almost my entire audience to switch to mid-morning rather than late night. Gosh, Waylon, I'm so glad to hear you say that, because big, healthy changes do not come without big, important sacrifices. And so, my friend, you're going to rebuild. You do a great show. Waylon does a daily live stream. He was doing it very late. But, you can't help anybody if you're dead. And if you spend too much long doing unhealthy things, you'll probably be dead before you know it. So, maximize your health, and then you can take on the world. Negativity bias hinders most goals by lack of attempt. Yeah, Jeremy, it is a bit of a hurdle. So you kind of have to see it for what it is. I expect that my brain is going to have an initial impression. That's what the old Stoics would call it, an initial impression. But then I can dig in and say, yeah, but. So have a yeah, but, not a halibut, a fish, but a fish in your brain called a yeah, but. Yeah, but this is my initial impression. Initial impressions are most often inaccurate. And this is where people with really growth-oriented mindsets can say, yeah, but this is what I thought first, but it's not where I'm going to, camp out on. I'm not going to drive stakes in the ground on my initial impression. Jeremy says, I love exploring perspective. Yeah, Jeremy, one of my favorite things to do is digging down with people about why they think what they think. I put a non-verbal IQ item up on my timeline. It's still there. I think you guys take a look at it. And little unexpected curveball here. Before I put it up, I just wanted to see what AI would think about it. Now, my initial impression was that it's AI, so it's going to get it right. But see, I was wrong, and AI got it wrong. I thought AI would get it right. AI said it was C, the answer was D. And you know why AI got it wrong? AI got it wrong for the same reason a lot of humans get it wrong, is they go with their initial impression. The AI looked at the first pattern it noticed and gave me an answer based on the first pattern that it noticed, and that was in error. Also, the people that responded that went with their first guess, I think often got it wrong. But if they looked at coming to a conclusion like building a pyramid, you'll start with the foundation and add layers, and then the pinnacle is what you finally decide. There's a value in deciding slowly. Now, if the building's on fire, decide quickly, right? Get out. If a grizzly bear is chasing you, decide quickly which way to run. But most of life isn't that way. So, another tip I would have you guys this week is go through the week deciding slowly. When people are pressing you for a decision, say, that you seem very passionate about this. You see, they're pressing for a decision. You can say, you seem very passionate about this. I would like to think about it more. I'm sure you understand. I would like to think about it more, and I know you want me to think about it more because you're very passionate about it. Oh, but I got to have an answer today. Well, I'm not really in a position to give you an answer today. Now, get this. You can say this to the kids. You can say this to employees. You can say this to employers. I know there's limitations on that. You may lose your job. You can say this to people trying to sell you a car. Slow your roll, as they say, colloquially these days, and give yourself time to collect different pieces of that jigsaw puzzle, and you'll come up with a decision that really better, supports your life. I want to go to some more things here. Let me think. Practice, play, experiments. Jeremy says practice, play, experiment. So I'm losing the text here. They don't all work out. Experiment with changes. Yeah, it's okay for not everything to work out. Life is about experimentation. And Precious, can you hear us now? Are you back with us?
Yes, I am, Dr. Heath. I'm so sorry. I had network issues.
Oh, that I can't hear you. You may need to speak. Hold the microphone closer. I'm having trouble hearing you. But I was going to
Okay, I
ask
said
you.
I'm sorry. I had network issues. That was why I went so
Yeah, I
far.
can't really hear you too well just yet.
Wow.
Can you maybe hold the mic a little bit closer? Precious is using her smartphone, and that works very well ordinarily, but sometimes not. But you may have to just hold it a little bit closer. I want to go back to Dr. Hypnosis here for a moment, and let's get into what I would call narrative bias. I think we all have narratives of our life, and we come to think of ourselves in certain ways. We've come to think of others in a certain way. It gets to be a patterned narrative that doesn't serve us well. So I'd like to go to Dr. Hypnosis and then over to Conrad, and then we'll check back in with Precious over what are some of the narratives that you guys run into that don't tend to serve people well. What do you think, Dr. Hypnosis?
Well, I'll tie this back to what Jeremy commented there, about negativity bias and how it kind of keeps you from even attempting something. And that's a huge insight that people have to realize. We were talking a little bit earlier about Conrad's statement, I want to get you to the seaside property. I would start with a client and say, well, why don't you have that yet? What are the obstacles in the way? And you're going to uncover some of those negative thought patterns right off the bat. And very soon you realize that these negative thought patterns that I can't get to that place. It would take too many steps. I couldn't accomplish blah, 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 blah. So, and so you haven't tried any of those things. You haven't even made the attempt. You haven't made that first phone call. Like, let's start with asking your boss for a raise. Well, he'll say no. Oh, you're just creating a movie in your head in which the outcome is he says no. let's change that movie to where he says yes. And now my confidence is up a little bit because I just thought I saw in my head a movie where my boss said yes. All right, well, now I'm actually going to make that phone call. Now I'm going to sit down with him. I'm going to make that first request. And who knows, but that he might say yes. And you say, oh, I could have been doing this all along. I didn't make the attempt because I had that blocker in my head, the script that says you can't, for whatever reasons that script exists. And for people, it's different reasons. Maybe somebody in their childhood told them, you'll never amount to anything or similar things. And they really absorbed that thought. And this is getting back to what we said earlier. We'll go ahead and take that thought that you'll never amount to anything. Why don't we say that out loud? Let's make that incarnate and see if that makes any sense after you've said it out loud. And turns out, probably not. That doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit right with me. So rewiring that, internally, externally, taking concrete steps to try to get there, and you find out that you actually have a lot more success doing things. The only thing that was stopping you is this idea, well, it won't work out for me. And so it affects everything from the steps that we're willing to take, the risks, I guess we could say, the risks that we're willing to take. I loved what Jeremy was saying. I think it was Jeremy about experimenting. Like, what do you have to lose by going and asking the boss for the raise or whatever it is? Like, what do you have to lose except that maybe you'll get a no answer? That's not the worst thing in the world. It means try something else, right? So experiment, play with it, give yourself that playground to try different things. Let's remove the I won't even try because I already think I know what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah, yeah, and one of the things that dawns on me when you're talking, Dr. Hypnosis, there is that sometimes the comfort, avoiding the discomfort of a no is more important than success. So I put up in there in the chat there, as long as comfort is more important to you than success, then you're not going to have success because you decided that the end all be all, biggest thing in your life is comfort. And so there are no Olympic gold medalists, silver medalists, bronze medalists where comfort is greater than success, or they would not be there. Unless it's just handed to them on a platter, there are no successful innovators, entrepreneurs, business leaders where comfort was greater than success. And let me share with you real quick before I go to Conrad on this, and then see if Precious is ready. That I call the rock group phenomenon. There's a lot of one-hit wonders. There's a lot of, where are they now? Really great musicians. And I've often wondered, why was this group so good, or this singer was so good? And I love their music, but then they just kind of disappeared because they got lost in the comfort of their success. And so the comfort of success that they gained became more important to them than putting out future successful hits. It's one of the reasons why one of my favorite artists of all times, and I'm sure a lot of people, Elton John, the most phenomenal thing about him, not to mention, gosh, how do you even sing those notes at that age, man? I can't sing the notes I used to sing, but Elton John, man, he knocks it out of the park. But he just kept on finding more meaning in the discomfort of working hard at something and coming up with great pieces of music than resting on previous successes. And this is why you see businesses fall apart. Business owners will get out there and they will hustle and they will sweat and they'll bleed for their company, and then they will make it, so to speak, but then they relax and they think they can take a break. There is no, quote, taking a break in the game of success. Success always requires discomfort. Now, you might say, wait a minute now, I've been successful and I really didn't have to work hard at it. No. No, that is chance. Just in spite of themselves, some people are going to make it. You all know businesses that you wonder, gosh, why are these people still in business? They really suck at customer service or something. Well, some businesses just succeed in spite of themselves, but the writing is already on the wall. Eventually, that will stop working. eventually those rolls of dice where they come up on the winning end will stop because they are sabotaged by their own success. And I love the quote from I think it was the last Batman movie with Bane. Bane said what? He's told Batman, he said, success has defeated you. Man, what a great quote. Success has defeated you. And so Jeremy says, motives matter too. Some people practice music for fame, some for money, some for love of practice. Yeah, and you know, it's really the final one. And I think Elton John is in that final one. He just does it because he loves the music. And there's a great story there that I've told many times about a world-class violinist. I wish I could recall his name. That a reporter was going to interview, and the reporter found him practicing. And she said, "Why are you still practicing your master?" He said, "Because why? Because I think I'm making progress." People that do what I do, you know, clinical work, that stop practicing, they get worse at their job. Now, their momentum may carry them through. Yeah, momentum can carry you a long way, but momentum, just the laws of physics, tends to run out. Precious, are you back with us? Let me check and see if she can hear me. Precious, can you hear me? Nope. She can't hear me? Okay. Well, we lost Lauren. We lost Precious. We're going to power on and get them back on in the future.
Okay,
Guys,
yes,
oh,
I
Precious,
can
you're
hear you,
back with
Dr.
us. All
Hicks.
right. What kind of mental scripting have you done that really worked some of the sabotaging beliefs you used to have? I'm going to take it you had some things you used to tell yourself that were sabotaging. What were they, and how'd you rework those?
Sorry, Dr. Hicks, can you recap on that? Sorry.
Yes, yes. Some of the beliefs that you used to hold that weren't accurate, they weren't realistic, they didn't serve you well, sabotaging beliefs. What were some of those that you had to rework to change your life, if you don't mind sharing?
Okay. Before I start, Dr. Hicks, there's a mistake in my ex name. There is no T in the catchy,
Oh
just
my
K A
goodness.
C
Okay, guys, it is
I
at
A.
KACHIIE underscore. But take a look at
Yeah.
her. I think I put the right one in the YouTube description. I can't change it on the graphic right now,
Okay.
but thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate that. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, for me, growing up, while growing up, I didn't get the opportunity to grow up in a, well, I say, in a wealthy background or a background that is being sorted out. I had to grow up getting things sorted for myself because I lost my mom at a very young age, at the age of 8, and I have two brothers. So growing up with males, but that's my dad and my two brothers, is something I didn't really plan for. But growing up, it's affected my mentality a bit because not growing up with a woman that's a mother, there are some basic things I was supposed to learn along the line, but growing up with males in the house, I lacked some kind of things, and it's made me it's brought in low self-esteem to me, and it's also brought in negativity. I tend to look down on myself because my dad is not well to do, and he had to struggle to take care of both me and my brothers. But when I got to the age of I think age of 18, I started seeing that it's possible for somebody to come to a great place from a small place. Like, you don't really need to allow your background put your back on the ground. You don't need to really allow your low self-esteem put you down. So how I was able to break free from that was okay, after I got into college, I started seeing some of my friends trying to be great in their own way, but coming from a background where it has not been so, I really struggled coming out of that circle of wanting to be great for myself. So, but first off, I started out reading books. I had to enjoy reading books, and reading books really changed a lot of my perspective and my mindset. And the great author I love to read always is always Napoleon Hill. So a book he wrote on purpose which really drove me to become whoever I want to be. There is a quote I saw there that you can be whatever you want to be. Coming from a low background, having a low self-esteem, you can literally be anything you want to be. And after reading that book, I actually thought, what can I do from here? This small place I am, what can I do? How can I become the best version of myself? Because I would always say here Elon Musk is like I said, the richest man in the world now. Yeah, but he didn't get there. He didn't get there by wishing. I knew he put a lot of work and a lot of opportunities. If I wouldn't be like Elon Musk, I can still be great, even if not up to Elon Musk. So I started putting on the work on myself. I thought, what skill can I get? Because I know value is what separates you from the order of people, like the value you have on yourself, the value, it's your value that will push you out there. Because then I'm like, how can I make money, how can I become rich, how can I get money and all. But along the line I get that you don't look for money, money, you attract money by what you are becoming, by the value you have to give to people. You tend to attract money by that. So I literally stopped looking for money. At that point I was hungry for knowledge. I was hungry for understanding. I was hungry for wisdom. I was just hungry to be the better version of myself. Yeah, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm not where I used to be. Like, I've made a lot of changes for myself. I got into tech, into learning data science on my own, trying to get into the machine learning space. And I've been able to come across a lot of opportunities, a lot. And if I'm to talk to anyone out there, I would say, like, you don't need to allow what you're going through make you feel less of yourself, make you start harboring low self esteem. You can become whatever you want to become from a small place, from a great place. You just have to tell your mind. It's all depends on the story you tell yourself. You can do it, you can do it. Once you tell yourself you can, just like Dr. Heath said, if you say you can do it or you cannot do it, you are right. You are telling yourself. I'm a believer, and the Bible said, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. Whatever you say you are going to be. There was a time I was literally down. I kept thinking about I became scared of death. I had that fear of death. I always think of fear of that death. And along the line, like, I started seeing myself as if I was literally dying. So coming out here and living this whole life now, all I can tell anybody out there, whatever story you tell yourself, if you tell yourself you are dying, I bet you in no long time you're gonna die. But if you tell yourself you are going to live, you're going to attract this thing, you are going to be it. So there is no need to welcome mediocrity. There is no need to welcome low self esteem. You can come out of anything, come out of your shell and become the best version of you, of yourself. Just what you tell yourself, what you tell your mind will believe it. You are what you tell yourself. Thank you, Dr.
Well,
Hit. That's all I have
thank
to
you,
say.
and that really stimulated my memory of a great book that my son and I read together many years ago. I think he might have been in the seventh or eighth grade. A great book for anybody, male, female, anybody, by James Allen. As a Man Thinketh, one of my favorite books ever, right up there with Napoleon Hill. In many ways better than Napoleon Hill. I can't remember. I think Napoleon Hill might have gotten some of his information from James Allen, if memory serves. But you guys check out that book. It's for free online. It is open. Start to say open source, but it's no longer. It's so old. It's no longer copyright protected. So you can literally download it for free. As a Man Thinketh. And so, yes, Precious, so many great points. Here's the other thing I wanted to say to kind of capitalize on what the wonderful information Precious was saying. And by the way, we're going to wrap up here in about 5 minutes, guys. So if you have more thoughts, questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. I'd love to bring those up here and have our panel address those. But money without wisdom is misery. Possessions without without wisdom is misery. Possessions without wisdom is misery. Success, fame, all the above, money, fame, toys, treasures without wisdom is misery. Why? Because none of those things matter unless you're focused on the most meaningful things in life. So as we begin to wrap up here, Gracie, thank you for being here. I'm learning how much my need for safety has been the key driver of my actions, and my perception narrative stories supported that need. I finally understand what the block is. Yeah, and that's not a bad thing. That's one of those initial impressions, Grazia, is that is this safe or not? But that is a acute awareness and acute rapid consideration. And we have today an avalanche of people thinking that, number one, safety is a feeling. And you'll hear people say it, I don't feel safe. Well, congratulations, safety ain't a feeling, right? You can feel fear, you can feel panic, you can feel anxiety and be perfectly safe. Likewise, you can feel perfectly comfortable and at peace and be in great danger. There are people videotaping tornadoes coming right at them. Man, I'm thinking, man, what are you guys doing? You're videotaping a freaking F4 tornado in Arkansas to get on YouTube, and they're comfortable evidently doing that. I wouldn't do that. I would head to, we called it the Frady hole in Arkansas. I would head to the storm cellar. So it works both ways. Don't equate safety with a feeling. There is no feeling of safety. There's no feeling that will tell you that you're safe. There's no feeling that will tell you that you're not safe. That is a cognitive construct. And I really object to, when I see meetings, people say, this is a safe space. A safe space? What was it not? I mean, were you going to leap through the screen and eat my face off? I mean, what? And what they're talking about is we've now equated safety with people not saying things we disagree with. We've equated safety with people not calling us a bad name, like a doo-doo head or a butt head or something like that. People calling you names doesn't mean that you're unsafe. So there's literally, unless you're talking about, we're not going to have grizzly bears here today that eat people's heads off. That's a safe space. We're not going to have home invaders come in and hold us hostage. That's a safe space. We're not going to have plutonium here to irradiate people. That's a safe space. All of this other nonsense about a Zoom meeting being a safe space, listen, Zoom meetings are always a safe space. You'll never see on a death certificate, cause of death, attended a Zoom meeting. It's just ridiculous. And so we really need to redefine some of these social media colloquialisms that we're falling for. But your initial impression may be, I'm not safe. But then guess what? You get to restructure that. So I want to thank you guys so much for being here. I want to go around the room and I thank Precious. I thank Lauren for being here. My dear friend Tim couldn't make it today, and we'll have him on a future episode. You can check him out at Citizen YVR. I think that's the airport designation code up in Canada, but at Citizen YVR. We'll be back next Monday at 7 a.m., but here in 3.5 hours will be Midday Mindset. So please join us for Midday Mindset. It is a 55-minute audio space on X, and then we'll be back for another live stream on Friday. And that is an 18-minute interview called Executive Espresso. If you want to be on the show sometime and you have a story to tell, send me a DM on X. I'm always looking for guests. Just ask for your commitment for 90 minutes. If it's this one, to have a good mic and everything. And but we do this every Monday. We do Executive Espresso every Friday. I'd like to kind of wrap it up since we just heard from Precious. Thank you so much. With Dr. Hypnosis and Conrad. Give the folks a parting bit of wisdom, a parting aphorism, a parting affirming statement, Dr. Hypnosis and Conrad, to kind of take people into the week.
All right, I guess I'll go first. So I'm going to conclude with a joke that kind of summarizes everything we just talked about your interior mindset and how that manifests itself in the body and negativity and scripts and all that kind of fun stuff. So back when WebMD first kind of became popularized and you could search for your different symptoms and see what the core problem might have been, people were starting to report diseases they didn't actually have. So maybe I had a headache and also some neck pain, and I would go search WebMD, and it would say, oh, it could be this disease, which should also accompany like numbness in the hand. And just simply by reading that, people would go, oh wait, maybe my hand is a little numb. Oh no, you could actually make yourself sick by reading this. So the joke was this. Here's the joke. I was perfectly calm and at peace, entirely relaxed, no issues. I put those symptoms into WebMD, and it turns out I'm dead. So there's a way that you can reframe this stuff. That's a negative example, but just to show you that those internal scripts can even take the positives that you're experiencing and say, well, do I deserve this? Is this really me? Can I sustain that? Let's just turn that whole thing around. If I can read a list of symptoms on WebMD and actually begin to feel that in my body, apply that to everything, okay? Just apply that to everything. Change that script, write out the quote unquote symptoms of life that you'd like to be experiencing. Read that list and say, hey, maybe that's actually happening. Maybe I can see some of that, playing itself out in my life. So thank you, Dr. Heath, for the opportunity. Love chatting with you. Um, I'm not going to give my commercial because I've got links all over my X platform to my local site where I write about this stuff, to the book that I published on Lulu. But if you just go to the X address there, Bowtie Trance, you'll certainly find all that information. But again, thank you, Dr. Heath, and the rest of you for joining.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. I had a debate with a dear friend of mine yesterday, who said that he was sharing with me that he was called for jury duty, and he got out of jury duty. He said he told them, I'm ADD. Today it's called ADHD, by the way. But I said, really? Who diagnosed you with ADD or ADHD? He said, well, I diagnosed myself. And I hope I didn't offend him too bad, but I said, my friend, he who diagnoses himself has a fool for a diagnostician. So yeah, be really, really careful with that. Of course, I also said something kind of naughty. I said, I would think that diagnosing yourself with ADHD is about like diagnosing yourself with prostate cancer because you bent over and stuck your finger up your own butthole. And so I wouldn't do that. I would just go to a proctologist, go to a urologist and get a proper diagnosis. And yeah, people diagnose themselves with all these sabotaging labels, and you're going to come to believe those. If you go through your life telling your life, I am, attention deficient or something, even that, that's what your brain's going to do, because it's going to hyper focus in on all the ways to confirm your own self given diagnosis, and that's called confirmation bias. Yeah, so it's very, very powerful. We in the field use it all the time, but for a good means, like we were talking earlier, it matters what you tell to yourself. Speak to yourself words of life. Conrad, speaking of which, speak some words of life to our crowd, leaving with a positive affirmation.
Well, it's clear, right? It really is clear today that the way we speak to ourselves and about the world and about other people is so important. In a way, it's also so revealing. When you speak to enough of people, you realize very, very quickly that a given person speaks and uses very specific words to describe their personal reality. And it's just so obvious. When you really speak statistically with, a large group of people over time, you think, oh my God, well, that's interesting, dear person, right? You speak about your life in a very specific way, using very specific words. And what I've seen also, from my practice is that, everybody carries their own dictionary of definitions. The same word can mean something else altogether to everybody listening to this recording at the moment, right? Literally, if we were to ask every single one of those 344 people at the moment to describe the word safety, everybody would be giving us a very specific, personalized answer. Nobody would be giving a dictionary definition, and yet everybody's version is valid. How incredible is that, right? Therefore, this is also where we sometimes have those miscommunication issues, where we seemingly say the same things with another person using the same words, and yet their definition of a given word is very different to ours. That's why also, I love helping people with refining their language. Just to double down on, why do you do those? Why do you use those words, Peter? Why do you use those words, Tracy? Why that word and no another? And here is also something that Dr. Hypnosis has mentioned earlier on.
I'm sorry, my people.
Sometimes,
I'll be done in 5 minutes time. Please just
Go ahead, Conrad.
sometimes it's also a good idea to investigate the words that are proving difficult for us. Those words that tend to be a bit triggering for us, because there's going to be gold. Those things, those words that we find uncomfortable, there is something behind it. There is some limiting belief or a memory of something that was uncomfortable that hasn't been processed fully just yet. And that's why we don't want to go in that direction. That's why we tend to avoid certain phrases and certain words altogether in our life. And it can be a hindrance, both in life, private life, and in business, when we subconsciously choose to avoid certain phrases or words altogether. So it's good to go there actually and ask yourself whether it's, safety, responsibility, commitment, to name some of the big ones. It can be a very revealing journey. And these days, as I wrap it up here, I tend to help people a lot, for example, with the so-called shadow work. To process those big emotions, for example, to go into those deeper places of the soul, to actually shine the torch of awareness, to see what's there, to see that the big fear that people have around something is actually just that. It's just a big fear hiding true gold. Because once we actually, cast some light onto it and change the perspective, we realize, oh my God, I should have done it years ago. I should have visited that aspect of me years ago. And this is where people tend to have really good results over the number of days, when there is this spike of life force, when people have much more clarity because that fear is gone. Whatever was underpinning the fear is gone, and suddenly we feel so capable. We feel that capacity, that personal power. We no longer fear something that might have been like a lifetime fear at times, and suddenly we feel, oh my God, I'm going to ask him out, I'm going to ask her out, I'm going to ask for a pay rise, I'm going to look for a bigger house, I'm going to step into that bigger version of self, I'm going to become that future version of myself today. I'm going to take right action, I'm going to be speaking in a new way, I'm going to be eating in a new way, I'm going to be exercising in a new way, and suddenly, in no time whatsoever, we start to present that reality that sooner or later becomes our present moment. So there is no time like the present, and it's a wonderful year, my friends, to really go for those bigger goals that you might have wanted to see manifest, to experience high quality relationships, health, wealth, joy, happiness, or other things in life, just because you can, because you allow yourself, you want to, you wish for it. And it doesn't matter what other people in your family say, or the neighborhood, or at workplace. It doesn't matter, because they are not living your dream. So go for it and make the best of it too. Thank you.
Go for it. Words well said. Words well said. And King Cassius agrees. I'm very intrigued with what Conrad is saying. And Jeremy says presence is greater than presence. Just being present is greater than any other gift that anyone else can give you. So practice presence, and that is, as Conrad said, the torch of self-awareness. Precious, finally, if you're available, you can wrap us up with a final positive affirmation for those listening. is something that you might want to say in parting to kind of give folks a mental boost for the week. What do you think?
Okay.
Precious, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. For everyone. Yes. Can you hear me, Dr. Heath?
Yes, go right ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay. For everyone listening, I think what I have for you for the week is don't see things we don't see things the way they are. We see things the way we are. Most of the things you might be going through, or most of the images or imaginations you might have in your mind, is how you see them, and not how they really are. So I'll just say, as you are going into your week, as you are going into your day, as you are going into whatever plans you have for yourself, try to see things positively. Try to see things greatly. Don't limit yourself. Like, you can actually achieve that which is in your mind. Don't limit your mind at all. Yeah, it might not all seem figured out for you. You might not have it figured out, or you might not have it planned out in your mind. But just like our speaker just said now, he said go for it. Just go for it regardless. Go all in for it. Be positive. See things the right way. Don't allow fear keep you down. If I could remember some years back, there was a particular area in my neighborhood here. I don't usually pass there. Why? Because I suddenly started having a negative image about a particular person. Started seeing that person as a threat to my life, and I literally stopped passing that particular neighborhood. I rather go extra mile to go and turn around other than passing that particular place. But looking back now I've really walked there. I've really passed there without any fear of anything, and I got to realize that all the fears and all the limitations had always been in my mind. So most of the limitation we keep around ourselves, around our careers, around our goals. Like, some people might want to venture into speaking, into podcast and all, but they might have that thought: am I do I speak well? Is my English fluent? Am I looking good? You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start. You just need to go. So go out there, get whatever you want to get, be whoever you want to be, start the work. Let's go of fear. Fear keeps one down. Fear keeps one down, and over time it builds into more dangerous things. So just go in there with a positive mind. Be happy, be good, be calm, and that's it. Thank you.
Well,
Okay.
thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I put up on the screen there one of my favorite aphorisms that I've been teaching people for years is we first engineer our thoughts, then our thoughts engineer our lives. And just to kind of put a neurological twist on that, it's never the emotion, it's never the fear, it's the thought processes which manufacture the fear. So don't chase the smoke of an emotion, fear. Chase the fiery furnace of your own thought processes. Once you come to focus on that, you can function fine in the presence of fear. I can have fear, still do the healthy thing. I can have anger, still do the healthy thing. I can have disgust, sadness, depression, and still do the healthy thing. We live in a world that hyper focuses on the emotion, ignoring the fact that it is our own mental scripting that created those. And so go ahead, experience the emotion, bring it on, every one of them. Thank you very much. But focus in on your thought process, and that will carve your way to success. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back here in about 3 hours and 14 minutes for Midday Mindset. That's every day on X at therapy_bites. I welcome all of you to join the Mindset Masterclass. Free lifetime memberships going now to those watching the program. And that is school.com/mindset, school.com/mindset. That is SKOOL.com/mindset. Have a great day. We'll catch you next week, guys. Thank you very much.